What's one thing almost every Sonic fan has thought about or has wanted? Lock in your answers? Good. The answer is make your own Sonic.EXE. Let's take Sonic Forces, for example. I would say it's just an alright game. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I would say it's not amazing either. It had one thing fans have been wanting for a very long time: to have your own customizable Sonic character in a Sonic game. I mean, people love this idea, even more so in the Sonic horror community. While sometimes it's give Sonic bloody eyes and call it a day, there are unique cases like No More Innocence, with a completely altered look but uses Sonic as a false sense of security. Hell, I even made my own Sonic character named Lucian. What does this have to do with the Roblox game? Well, what if I told you there was an upcoming Roblox game that combined the two, keeping all of your favorite horror versions of Sonic and mixing it with your own customizable character and moveset? Well, this is exactly what Abyssal Escape is. The game is being made by Denzi, who you may recognize from the game Sonic Showdown. That game features all your favorite spooky characters, and that's how I was able to know about it. But this game is going to be pretty different to that. I'm going to introduce you to a project that I think is underrated, and while not perfect, has a ton of potential. I was given early access to the game, and I wanted to make a solo video on it because I feel like this game is doing something different to the usual games you're used to hearing about. And while I'm excited for the other games like Outcome Memories, The Disaster Reborn, and while not solely a Sonic.EXE game, Dimensional Coalescence, which has been fun, I'm excited to hopefully fit this game in the spotlight. I'll talk about those games another day. I want to focus on what I believe is the underdog and hopefully get people hyped up for this game as well. Abyssal Escape is a horror game like The Disaster, but as mentioned before, you get to customize your own character and choose your layout and abilities for the survivor. As for the killers, there are 3 currently in-game: X, Fleetway Sonic, which I'm very hyped about, and No More Innocence, each having unique abilities to them, different chase themes that can change depending on where the game is at, and they all look pretty amazing. There's also going to be Lord X in the future, 2017 X, and a fan favorite, Colossus, to be added at a later date. I'm going to talk about the killers first, then the survivors and the customization options you get, along with the plan for the future with all the cool things the game is going to offer / is already doing. So, without further ado, allow me to introduce you to Abyssal Escape. Alright, everyone knows that I am a lore guy, so, lore-wise, X got bored of using the same few vessels over and over again. So, in this game, he gives you the choice to design your own vessel. This actually is pretty in character for X, as adding a more personalized experience makes the game more interesting because it's your body that you design. So he gathers together different killers and survivors and hosts a killing game. Pretty straightforward, which, you know what, sometimes I don't mind simplistic, because after trying to dive in and solve the Green Mountain, I could go for a little bit of simple sometimes, even if I do love lore. Oh, speaking of X, let's start with him since he's the most developed currently. This specific version of X is Crimson X, or more commonly referred to as Sonic.EXE. Crimson X, as we call him, comes from the 2012 version of Sonic.EXE, and is kind of what really helped blow up the character in popularity, at least in my opinion. Skins for him in the future are 2011 X, and in case you were thinking he's just gonna get shoes changed to gray, you'd be wrong. Each skin, to my knowledge, actually gets a new model entirely made from scratch. Not sure if this is the case for everyone, but that's going to be the case for 2011. I know there are other games that do this, but it's clear this game is willing to put in the work and go the extra mile. X has his own chase themes, plural, because each killer gets 2. And I'm not sure if this is staying in the game or not, but currently X has a killer side chase theme, meaning the killer will hear a slightly altered version of the chase theme, while the survivors hear the usual chase theme. It's a small detail, but it adds a bit of uniqueness to playing the killer, so you won't always be hearing the same theme. Here's what this sounds like. Here's how it works. When they get close to you, you can hear their usual theme. These themes are either inspired from something Sonic.EXE related or from, well, Friday Night Funkin'. But we'll get to that. Each game has a timer, and it's up to the survivor to try and, well, survive until the timer hits 1 minute. It's here the ring spawns, and that's your way out. This is where things get a little interesting, as the theme for killer switches up and becomes a bit more intense when they're chasing after you. It's actually kind of intimidating, because you could just be chilling 1 second and hear the chase music another, and by that point you're likely being hit or running for your life or crying like a little baby. I'll go ahead and play X's chase theme for you. Alright, that's what it sounds like normally. But once the ring spawns, the chase theme shifts into this. And personally, I think each of these are a banger. In terms of abilities, X has his main ability, hide and seek. He spawns a clone that does a silly little pose and becomes invisible until he hits something. The person controlling X can press shift and redirect him. And I gotta say, the controls for this don't feel half bad. I feel like it turns well and goes pretty far. You could, for sure, psych some people out by activating this ability, and the player has a 50-50 shot at guessing where you're gonna be. They could try jumping at the right time or running away, but if you control this right, it's pretty satisfying to land. Oh, and I forgot to mention what maps there currently are. There's the iconic ... which was funny to write out in the script because anyone reading it would be so confused. But us Sonic.EXE fans, well, we know. The other map is You Can't Hide, a map resembling Chemical Plant Zone. Keep in mind, this is early access and more is going to be added in the game. But what they have so far looks pretty cool. In the map, You Can't Hide, when the ring appears, the water will actually rise. Both the killer and player move slower in water, and the music becomes muffled. One thing I like about this game is the killer UI, as it shows us this little icon at the bottom left of each of the killers doing a certain pose. A small detail, but very cool. So that's pretty much it for X. Being in early development, the game is still adding abilities to the killers. Show off what they look like if I'm able to, and play their chase theme. Starting with the character I'm very excited about, Fleetway Supersonic. I would like to make it clear Fleetway Supersonic is not a Sonic.EXE. It is only associated with him mostly due to the Sonic.EXE FNF mod that featured him. However, he is still a ruthless killer who wants nothing but chaos and destruction, at least in this case. Here's a fun fact about this guy while I'm at it. When we say Fleetway, we think it's the name of the character, when in actuality, it's the name of the company who published the comic. This has got to be the best marketing tactic anyone has ever seen, or it just kind of worked out like that. In the EXE community, he's referred to as Fleetway because that's what he's from, and Sonic is already taken by many others, including this guy. Alright, now that that's settled, Fleetway being in this game is really cool because we haven't really seen him in these types of games ever. At least I haven't, and he looks absolutely incredible. The model design here is peak. He has spiked fur, spiked claws, and the way he floats is accurate to how he really is. The floating animation he has, along with how when he's running, or floating in this case, he holds out his hand as if he's eager to hit something, or eager to grab you. You might be wondering what his ability is. And I think the inspiration was taken from the FNF mod 2, as it's called a Chaos Laser. I didn't get to see the ability as it's not done yet, but I think it's very fitting for the character. And keep in mind, more will be added. The one thing I didn't like was the walk speed is so slow, but it does make having to manage your stamina more important. This could be changed in the future too. In Phase 1, Fleetway's theme sounds like this. And I forgot to mention that when the ring spawns, I believe it's called Phase 3. So just keep that in mind. In Phase 3, this is what his theme sounds like. It begins to feel more urgent, and I know it's incredibly similar to the F&F song, but man is it a banger. And one of my favorite things about Fleetway is usually how he's very vocal, at least when it comes to the Sonic horror community. The voice for him might sound familiar, but I guess you'll just have to play it when it comes out and find out why. That's about what I have to show you for the character. On to the last playable killer so far, and another pretty interesting one. No More Innocence, a popular Sonic.EXE character that's pretty unique. And shameless plug, if you want to watch me explain the lore of this character, I made a video on him. But if not, that's okay. Basically, he's a spirit that makes you addicted to Sonic the Hedgehog. I just saved you like 14 minutes. You might be looking at him and going, why does he look like that? He's bald? And I thought the same thing at first. I was wondering why he was in his iconic hedgehog form, and the reason for that is he actually transforms into that during his Phase 3. It alters his abilities, and personally, I think this idea is really cool and unique. On top of that, No More Innocence is going to have a passive ability. When he gets closer to you, the screen will fill with Japanese text, and maybe images? The closer he gets, the more stuff appears. His Phase 1 theme sounds like this. It's kind of relaxed in a way. Given he's in it for the hunt like the others, he doesn't need to be frantic or in a rush. So his Phase 3 is a bit more nerve-wracking, sounding like this. Which honestly, I think it sounds pretty good. I'm not sure what his transform ability will be or what more they're planning to add, but what we have so far is pretty cool. Though, his run animation is a little goofy. If he was walking at me, I'd be intimidated. I see him run at me like this. Yeah, no, he's not scary anymore. I'm not sure what it will be in the future, but if it stays like this, honestly, I think I would be fine with it because of how funny he looks. And that's it for the playable killers. But I still want to show off the themes for the future killers they will be adding since I was able to get access to that. Lord.EXE will be added. His theme resembles cycles. I'm honestly really curious to see what they do with him. As a separate character, he will have different abilities, and I'm hyped to see it. Though I don't have his Phase 3 theme, I do have Sonic, quote-unquote, or 2017X's Chase theme, which are my favorite. Here's what the first one sounds like, which, wouldn't you know, is subterfuge, but I don't mind because I think it sounds great. His Phase 3 is when things really pick up, though. I can imagine that once they get the model done, he's going to be really fast, and having this theme suddenly start playing, I don't know, I could see it. But that's all I got for the extra killers. Now, I may not have what they look like just yet, but you could join the Discord down in the description to stay updated. Denzi is constantly making updates to the game. Alright, now that I've talked about the killers, let's get into what makes this game unique. When clicking on this icon to the survivor and killer, there's this cool animation that plays. This is something small, but I just wanted to point it out. The survivors are going to have 2 abilities that you can choose, and a list of options they can buy. And honestly, the prices here aren't half bad. You get rings by playing the game. However, I got my rings for free so I could showcase this. I really like the survivor menu music as it's more somber and depressing. They didn't choose to be here. To the spooky versions of Sonic, it's a game. To us, the survivors, it's a never-ending nightmare. There are a ton of customization options that are already added to the game, with a lot more on the way. The character UI will be getting an overhaul, so don't get too used to the way it looks now. Just know that this is temporary. First, I want to talk about the different abilities the survivor can have. And while this doesn't look like much, there will be more added. The survivor has 2 abilities it can carry at a time. And if you have coins to buy it, you can run any setup you want and any way you want it. The 4 abilities are Slide, Weak Punch, Camouflage, and Awakened Awareness. Clicking on them as you buy them will give you the description of what they do. You can also change the keybind to where you want your abilities to go for the most amount of comfort. Z and X are the default for now. Punch can stun the monster. Slide shifts your hitbox and makes you annoying to hit. Camouflage can hide you, and Awakened Awareness allows you to know where the monster is if it's stunned, meaning you can work with your team to determine where the monster is or try to plan around it. More abilities will be added, but this is what you have so far. Now, on to the bulk of the character creation. You can customize your whole color pattern for your survivor. Your hands, your legs, your head, and there are already tons of options to pick from. You not only get to make your own Sonic character and customize it exactly how you want, but you could also create your favorite Sonic characters if you wanted to. I will say, some of these look silly, and since they didn't add eyes yet, my character just looks a little cursed. He turned out to be some sort of clown. You guys can make your own cursed character too. When the game comes out, you'll have options available to you. More clothes, mouths, eye shapes, and stuff like that, they're going to be added. There's even custom animation, and you could choose to control how tall you want your character to be. The animations so far referenced Silver and Shadow. You could tell by the way they move and stand. I really like the custom animation aspect. It really plays into the idea of this character being yours, all the way down to the walking/floating animation you could have. It even has a unique jump animation. Though, my question is, why are there so many damn noses? I didn't even think there could be this many in Sonic. With a ton of character customizations that I could probably go on and on about, there's also a hub world where you can walk around and get ready for the next game. You won't spawn into the hub world with your Sonic character, but once the game starts, you will. This game isn't perfect. As much as I like it so far, there isn't much to do in the hub world, but I mean, you'll likely be customizing your character or spectating the match, so it's not that big of a deal. But in-game, there's also not much for the survivors to do aside from survive, but I think it would add to the gameplay. The walk speed is also atrocious when you're in the game, even for the killer, dude. But aside from that, I feel like this game is something more people should be excited about. Because who doesn't love creating your own Sonic.EXE? And maybe in the future, you could even create your own Sonic.EXE to chase after people, which would be a really cool idea. I don't think it would really happen. This is me giving my 2 cents, but it would be a really neat idea. I really wanted to show this game off as I noticed not a lot of people have mentioned this game. Help me put this game on the radar. Discord link for the game is down in the description. Oh, and this goes without saying, but I'm still hyped for Outcome Memories and The Disaster Reborn. I think these games can coexist, and I'm not trying to play favorites, so please be respectful to everyone who works so hard on their games. Alright guys, these games can coexist. That being said, I ask you give this game a chance when it comes out if you're interested. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and remember, stay freaky.
Just murdered all my friends, all those that found their